Greetings and good vibes. This is Fireside Chat Q&A with Erika, number 3. I still have a small handful of questions that have been put into the podcast, the Creator Shift podcast, over these last couple months, and I'm going through these questions. This particular chat is going to be focused primarily on screenwriting and a little bit on show running, as showrunner is writer and producer. So all of the questions that I'll be going through this evening will be essentially screenwriting and a little bit of producing. So hopefully that's fun. All right. So what do we have here? First question. How do you approach writing different genres? Well, I write in a lot of different genres. I'm not sure I approach them differently, to be honest. Oh, wow. That is it. Yeah, I don't know if I approach them different. I mean, where they're being distributed to makes a big difference. Which platform, what medium is it in? How are people going to consume it? That's different. I don't think I'm not sure I approach it different if it's different genres, really. I've mentioned before, I do a lot science fiction, fantasy, horror, comedy. Those are kind of the 4 that I write in the most. But I've also done, I worked a number of years as a children's theater director, so I've written a fair amount of scripts and stage plays for kids. I've done a fair amount of audio dramas. I've done comic book stuff. But see, those are all mediums. Those are not genres. I don't think I approach them differently. I think my strange, slightly off-kilter brain kind of approaches them the same no matter what the genre is. Well, I don't know if that was an interesting answer, but that's my answer. I don't think I approach them different if they're different genres. I mean, that's just kind of what it is. All right. What roles do themes play in your screenplays? Okay, this is going to be a second weird non-answer for me because I I'll answer. I don't focus on theme. I think themes definitely come out in my scripts, and people say that to me a lot. I don't focus on it, and I certainly don't try to write to themes. Like that's not something that I really think about. Probably because of my distaste over, certain properties out there where you know that the person is sort of trying to beat you over the head with the theme. So I just have a big aversion to that. So I don't think I write to theme. I certainly think those sort of things come out. I don't think I write to them deliberately. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, because when I mean, like theme, I think of like, Gene Roddenberry. I grew up absolutely obsessed to Star Trek. And I mean, for him, it was always about, equality and everybody being given a fair chance and, lifting up all of society. Like his idea for Star Trek was that money doesn't exist. There's literally no such thing as money anymore. Everybody takes care of everybody else. There's no poverty. There's no homelessness. Like none of that stuff exists because everybody is working in a, utopian society. Everybody's helping each other out. And so that's one example I would say where that was sort of his overarching theme, and he wrote all of his stories to fit under that theme. And that's an example where I think theme actually worked because he wanted humans to see where we could end up. And so that's why he wrote the stories the way he wrote them, was to show people that we can get there. It is easily, it's possible. It's within our grasp. We can get there. But no, I don't think I don't obsess over theme, and it's certainly not something that I shuffle into my scripts. Although I think themes definitely come out in them. I would say that's the role for them. How do you keep your writing fresh and engaging? I don't know about fresh. I don't know if I don't think that's not a thing that I think of. Engaging, I certainly want it to be interesting. How do you write it to make it engaging? Yeah, to me that's plot and story, which are 2 different things for anybody out there who doesn't know that plot and story are 2 different things. Well, I guess I can't say that without expanding upon that. Story is what happens. What is the story? Now your cat stole a lasagna out of someone's window, drag it across the lawn and it ended up somewhere else. And the story is about your silly, mischievous cat that's doing all these things it's not supposed to do. Plot is lasagna gets put in window, cat sees lasagna, cat grabs lasagna, knocks it off the window, drags it across the lawn, throws it in the road. Plot is step by step. What happens, then what, then what, then what, then what. So plot is the plot. It's what happens from beginning to end. Story is more about the emotion and the feeling and how the characters are feeling, how they're acting, how they treat each other, how they speak to each other, what the scenery looks like. The camera work is there to help bring out the story. So the story is about the emotions and the feeling and the engagement between whether it's people or cats and lasagnas, whatever it is. Oh, I don't know. I don't think I think about fresh and engaging. Like, I don't think that's a thing that I think about. Yeah, like I said, 2 non or is that 3 non-answers in a row? I think that might be 3 non-answers in a row. Yeah, I don't think about fresh. I definitely think about engaging, but I also don't obsess about what the audience is thinking about. If it's funny to me, if it's funny t to people that I show it to, if it's interesting, if the plot I like my plot moving at a fast clip. I don't like dawdling on things, so I would say, yeah, engaging for me is fast pace. Yeah, I think yeah, that's what I got. What's the role of pacing in your writing process? Oh, this is a bit of an extension from the last one. Again, I don't think about pacing as the story is going on. I don't think about pacing until probably the 3rd or 4th draft, because I don't think you should get obsessed by pacing as you're writing your early drafts. And pacing is the speed that things are going, but that's a really subjective thing to get yourself stuck up on. If you think of like in anything with a battle, think of like, anything from Star Wars to Lord of the Rings or any kind of military thing where there's battles going on. There are moments where it's loud and chaos and there's explosions and there's running and there's all this stuff happening. And then you can't go more than a few minutes of that before you need a moment to breathe. And a character is, hiding behind a car as bullets are coming past, or someone's on a horse and they've fallen off their horse and they're laying on the floor, or, you know, 2 spaceships are chasing after each other and it's this pitched battle and all this craziness is happening. And for just a moment, one of them is hiding and you just sit there holding your breath, just letting the moment happen, just to kind of slow down the pace, let people breathe, because you can't keep just crazily running constantly, because the audience is going to get exhausted. They're going to get fatigued. The same thing is happening. Like, you have to have fast moments, slow moments, loud moments, quiet moments, touching moments, sad moments, yelling and screaming, and then quiet. Like, you need to be able to go back and forth. But I don't think of any of that until multiple drafts in. Like, that's not something that I let my brain get stuck on. I think about that many drafts down the line.